little change coming out of Dignitas Academy. So some late-stage swaps might just be what Dignitas needs in order to take this game, but right now, Dignitas moving in forward. I really like this positioning from them. They have Ole. Even though they're into Eteric, they have absolutely no fear of the AoE stun level 1. That's going to force Gorka to back up. That gives vision advantage to the Dignitas squad. And Golden Guardians Academy, it's looking like they're doing a similar invade up top, so just some red buff shenanigans level 1. Nothing too surprising here. No kills, though, so unfortunate for me as both a caster and a viewer that we don't have more to see quite yet. Demonte in the mid lane, zoning out Zion Spartan, who is roaming down towards the bot side, trying to give a little bit of a fool to the side of Dignitas, but you know he's going back top. That's where he lives. As Dignitas roaming towards that blue side, looks like that's where Grig is going to be starting off. Lee Sin with the blue buff, all the regen in the world, and also giving him a south side start. So maybe that is the indication that both junglers are in fact going for top ganks as early as possible, just to kind of get that pathing efficient as they can. Grig going to be taking it, looks like first in comparison to the Elise. It's about the same, but hard, and fortunately loses just a little bit on that race, about 3 seconds behind. Not that it matters too terribly, but Dignitas knows exactly where hard is, and that's the real difference in this matchup right now. Moving towards the top side, Grig gonna match. Demonte actually in the area, warding the blue buff. I'm not sure if they know about that vision. Looks like the pings are going down. And it's Dignitas that in fact know the pathing right now. Grig has all the advantage in the world in terms of knowledge. Let's see whether or not he uses that, and if he wants to go in onto one easy and early into this game. It's hard to do the standard Elise thing. Blue going to Brock. That will get the level 3 pretty quick. As Grig going to be looking towards the top side, going for the plugs as early as possible once you get that first player. Very, very easy to move to the top side. As bot side, you already see Phoenix and Ole getting an advantage in the push. Heat trying to back off, but as Tarek, there's just no way to get in unless you move forward. He has taken, not that advice. That's a bit. Gorka going to be farming it out. He is on the Callista this time, so it changes it up a little bit from what he usually plays. It's generally the Aphelios, more often than not, the Sennas, the Misfortunes. But Callista has been coming back a little bit into the meta just because the others have been nerfed, especially Aphelios. But there's also the fact that it was banned away this game. So that's going to really influence how this lane goes, is how comfortable Gorka is coming in from Collegiate. Looking towards the mid side now, Blazed Olive getting the pressure onto Demonte. Demonte will be able to clear a lot of this, not all of it though. And that's going to allow Blazed Olive to put that ward into the river, letting Hard get exactly where he needs to be, get that Scuttle Crab control. And Grig, unfortunately, pathed towards the bot side instead of going for an early gank, so that means he misses out on a lot of experience and a lot of time. Very important for the first few levels, especially in the Elise versus Lee Sin matchup, which is all about that first gank, how effective you can be off of one CC's ability. Looking top side now, Zion Spartan, Lorlo. An LCS matchup of the ages, now in Academy. So seeing how this changes things, considering in week 4, this advantage did in fact go to Lorlo. Able to play that one out pretty well. Zion Spartan on the set though, he's been playing this quite a bit. It's his comfort champion for this season, and quite frankly, a very strong showing on a lot of these games for Golden Guardians Academy. I feel like this is something that the team is more than happy to assist with, as we see Hard is already moving in for the gank. Does have the control ward as well in the bush, but because the positioning of Lorlo can't actually go for it, and that is one of the weaknesses coming in, is there's no real engage aside from the cocoon. You have to land that, or you're out of luck. So that's going to mean Hard rotating for the Scuttle Crab. That's 2 Scuttle Crabs for the blue side. And I got to think Golden Guardians Academy are very happy about that. They're getting the Elise ahead. They're making sure Grig can't step up, who has been in the LCS the last few weeks of the season, but deciding for change in the Dignitas roster. Decided to see whether or not this is a positive change coming for both the LCS squad and the Academy squad. For now, it seems like Grig is getting a little behind, but that could be just because he's not used to the team, hasn't been swimming with them as much as the LCS roster, or the fact that he's on a Lee Sin as opposed to a CC-oriented jungler like he generally plays for the LCS. Maybe he's just trying to smirk, feeling confident now that he's down in Academy. And we'll be looking for Lorlo on this counter gank. Hard as well on the top side. Zion Spartan to make the first move here. But the Q lands, not going to go in. That's just a nice little showing, saying that he's there, announcing his presence, and then leaving. You might ask, What was he even doing up there? The answer, counter gank. Pressure. Unfortunately, sometimes ganks don't amount to pressure. They don't even amount to kill at the time. So instead, Dignitas Academy going to be happy to push up on this. Phoenix getting the advantage in the CS department early on. Also getting Gorka's back. Or sorry, that was actually Keith that back. So that does allow Gorka a lot of solo XP, as well as some time to farm. I don't know whether or not that's going to really make a difference here, as you do need Gorka to get the early advantage. Speaking of early advantage, plays Olive. A little bit of burst onto Demonte. Nothing to worry about quite yet. That's a level 6 Syndra, but the orbs weren't out quite yet for a kill. And also, you can check the items, just a book in the inventory. Demonte, some Merc Treads of his own. So really going to be able to tank up a lot of the damage of Blaze Olive is putting on early. And also dealing with Hard's Engage coming in with that Cocoon. So definitely a great pickup for Demonte. Unfortunately, though, that means his wave clear not going to be as good as the Syndra with some actual AP. As I say that, though, Hard rotating up, trying to get pressure himself. This is unknown to the side of Dignitas Academy, and that might just be a red buff takeaway. If nothing else, it's a ward. And wards at this point in the game is very, very useful, as they've actually rotated topside for Golden Guardians. And Lorlo, you're in trouble, buddy. Got 3 on there. Showstopper comes in. Flash forward from Lorlo. Will be pulled back, and First Blood goes over to Hard. A 3-man collapse pays off in dividends for the side of Golden Guardians. But Dignitas, meanwhile, decide that it is time for Dragon. They will take the Flash Trade, and that will be objective for First Blood. I would think that that advantage goes over to Golden Guardians just to get the start at the very least. But a great response coming in from Dignitas means it's not the end of the world. It's an advantage of about 800 gold thus far. But with the Dragon's help, at the very least, you are getting something, and that does allow for a later game play. This is certainly a faster First Blood than we've seen in other games, or at the very least, the last time these two teams matched up. Golden Guardians and Dignitas had an 18-minute First Blood week before, so really playing it passive, now starting to really turn things around and try to get the advantage as quickly as possible. This is what I like to see out of adaptation from these teams, really trying to make sure that they get the early game more than anything else, and not just playing it passive, knowing you have a Lee Sin, knowing you have an Elise. But we do have to take a small little reprieve for the moment, as Dignitas and Golden Guardians trying to figure out what they want to do right now. Leeson is towards bot side, so Greg looking for any opening he can. Phoenix does have level 6, so could use those Corrupting Chains at any point. Deciding instead to not, as that would have been too much of a force. Golden Guardians playing back means they cannot engage. And meanwhile, Hard is going to go towards that top side, but this is known to Dignitas. Demonte lands a Sleepy Trouble Bubble onto a Spiderling. Not going to be the end of the world at all. Demonte now moving towards that mid side. Did get blue buff donated over to him from Greg just a minute ago. And that's going to mean a Blaze Olive is under pressure here. Doesn't have to sustain, but still has a lot of damage. And very nice sidestep from Demonte means there is no all-in quite yet. He'll pick up as well. So really this is just going all the way Zoe at the moment. Syndra struggles to get back into this game. Does have the last chapter completed, though. Definitely not struggling for too much sustain, just not as much as you would get off of a blue buff and fairy charge in the inventory of Demonte. Great now, baiting onto Hard. Hard lands the Cocoon, but that's just a disengaged Cocoon. There goes the Q, Sonic Wave. Blaze Olive rotating already. Demonte as well. This is just going to be both teams backing off, but Hard managing to get out of that one alive. Greg trying for the invade, not going to find too much, but does get pressure around Rift Herald. That's going to be an objective over to Dignitas. Playing the objective game. This is something that they also love to do in the last matchup that we talked about in Week 4. They're able to get a lot of objectives and turn around the entire game from team fight. But meanwhile, Phoenix and Ole have rotated over, and Blaze Olive's in a lot of trouble managing to flash and get out of the way. But Dignitas, with the rotations, managed to get the objective as well. A lot of pressure coming in for the red side. This is exactly how they were able to win the first time they faced off this season. Rotating around, trying to get objectives, trying to push forward against a strong early game coming out of Golden Guardians Academy. And as I say, Golden Guardians Academy, they were in fact the ones to come out on top versus Dignitas. So really, this is a lesson learned from Dignitas. They're the ones that are able to make the early game plays. They are the ones that are able to get objectives. They're going to be the ones that take this early game thus far. As Greg rotating in, getting the Grom, taking it away, and leaving that jungler in it. As we do see Gorka rotated towards the top side, Lorlo towards the bot, so this is just the classic 10-minute lane swap that we've seen out of many teams in many different regions, making sure that the Baron pressure is on. Even though Baron's not on. Dragon gonna be up in about a minute, 30 seconds. That's the next major objective that both these teams are gonna look to fight over, and I imagine Golden Guardians Academy wants to fight for it a little harder just because they don't want to be 0-2 in Dragons, but Dignitas, with the amount of pressure that Greg has been able to put down, is in a good spot to contest this. Is definitely in a good spot to take it away, but they do need to get the vision advantage early. And can they do that? That's a question that we have to ask ourselves right now. Phoenix going to be pushing into Zon Spartan. Hard, also near. Flash forward Cocoon, that's going to be a death going over. And Phoenix dies. Zion Spartan picks that one up, but Greg and Ole are in the area. They can only watch on in horror as their 80 carry is taken out. And with Dragon spawning in 41 seconds, Dignitas Academy have to rethink their options. They can't just go for this Dragon. They know Phoenix is gone, but they do have the vision advantage thus far. You can see the control wards in the river. Keith gonna spot out Greg as well. Gonna also do the disrespect back, but it plays Olive maybe a little too far forward. Sleepy Turbo Bubble lands. Cosmic Radiance goes down. Might be enough to save him. It is. Greg now under pressure from Keith, who is walking forward menacingly. As the Battlestar barely misses. Golden Guardians Academy able to make it out of that one alive. Again, very good ward control coming in. Keith in the right position to deal with the pressure coming in from Greg. And a Blaze Olive staying safe, knowing that he still has another 2.5 minutes left on that flash timer. Still keeps the ultimate as well, so a lot of pressure could come down to Golden Guardians. They are pushing onto the Dragon. It is started up by Hard. Gorka gonna be forward. Nice stun lands onto the jungler, and Greg is immediately obliterated. As Demonte trying to do what he can, and Blaze Olive in the front line, taking a little too much damage. Corrupting Chains lands onto him as well. Lorlo has joined the fight now, but Dragon already goes down. Nate's call. Energy to save the support. Keith staying safe for the moment. Hard is actually stuck in the jungle, but a Scrying Orb jump away will mean he is alive. Monte still going forward. Flash forward for the Q. That was a little greedy coming out of Phoenix. Maybe thought he could get a Blazed Olive with that, but without the execute, I don't think you can really make that play. Just too many members, too little of a hallway. Golden Guardians Academy able to make that play from a single pick onto Phoenix. Delaying the 80 carry damage means you have all the pressure in the world to mid, and also denying all of Greg's pressure early on. Golden Guardians are looking for a repeat of Week 4, trying to win this one out as well. And I was just praising Greg's early game, able to make a lot of plays on Lee Sin. Maybe no kills yet, but the pressure and the objectives definitely going the way of Dignitas until Golden Guardians decide to turn it all around. Definitely a great pick coming out of Callista as well. Gorka getting the right position to save Keith and go aggressive. And speaking of aggressive, Dig drops the Rift Herald now live. I don't know if this will translate to plates, but it at least translates to pressure. As this turret's looking a little low, and Golden Guardians Academy decide to back off of this. See Hard rotating around on the backside. They'll be able to make it, but the charge still goes off, and that's going to be a very low turn. Not quite dead, crucially. Golden Guardians Academy needs a little bit of gold on that. They only find themselves 2,000 in the lead, which, as most people would consider, that's a pretty strong lead at 14 minutes into the game. Hard going to stay in the bot side as turret plates have fallen, so good timing out of Dignitas Academy to get those plates at the very last second. Mission has been cleared. Hard has not been spotted yet. Gorka just has to clear this wave, and the teleport from Phoenix, a little risky, but nothing to get from it quite yet from the side of Golden Guardians. They try for a death push, but again, Phoenix, veteran, has played in the LCS many times, has been playing AD carry this entire split. He understands the vulnerability that comes with that role, and will instead stay safe. As meanwhile, in the mid lane, Acadian going to be facing against Demonte in the Battle of the Magic. They both back off. It's really nothing too exciting quite yet, as topside going to be pushing in as Zion Spartan against Lorlo. Lorlo going to be able to eat up a lot of these waves. He does have the Haunting Guys completed on this Mordekaiser. And we'll be able to do a little bit of damage, but not the lethal that he's looking for. Speaking of lethal, Blaze Olive lands the stun onto Demonte, forced to burn his own flash. And he'll be able to get out of that one alive. Golden Guardians Academy going for the aggressive rotation out of Keith and Gorka. Not enough to get the kill quite yet. Demonte able to stay safe for the moment. But Golden Guardians Academy do get all the free reign in the world onto this topside jungle for Dignitas. will be forced back out of that one after getting... Oh, nice stun lands on Demonte again, but Ole eats him up. Will stay safe for the moment. Nice Q, but not going to be lethal against Demonte. See, Blaze all of the Sleepy Trouble bubble. Doom landing onto Ole, but there's the corrupting chains onto the jungler, and Hard has to repel up. No targets yet, but a nice stun saves him, and the shutdown for Phoenix. A very nice piercing arrow to finish off that kill. Dignitas finally on the board. And now Golden Guardians Academy. They've been on the front foot this entire game. Foot on the gas. More feet-related euphemism, but they are unable to convert that play into a kill and instead find themselves in a lot of trouble, and that's the pick potential coming out of Dignitas. Sleepy Trouble from Corrupting Chains, the Dragon's Rage from Grig. It's all designed to make one person regret their decision. And Golden Guardians Academy fell hook, line, and sinker for the fishing rod that is Dignitas' roster. They do manage to get a Rift Herald out of it, and looking at the gold advantage that has come from that, looking at specifically the top side, because Ron Spartan has gotten a very considerable lead over Lorlo. He was able to get the assist, Lorlo was, but unfortunately still a 1,000 gold lead. Looking at the junglers, still very much in Hard's favor, considering he was able to convert a very good early game kills. And mid side, dead even. Bot side, a little bit of an advantage going over to Phoenix. That kill definitely helping out, and shut down as well, breaking the even that was between Gorka and Phoenix. And we could take a look at support gold, but it's support gold. It really changes a little bit, but between Tom Kench and Eteric, they're not looking to build up. But you know who is looking to build up is Hard, getting that objective, the Rift Herald, and a lot of damage from Demonte, about half health on that. But with Keith in the area, he's going to be able to heal that one up pretty darn quick. A Blaze all going to take blue in the meanwhile, and mid going to be pushed over by Dignitas Academy. So they do manage to get a few minions on there, but without a whole lot of wave left. We're looking for the cannon minions specifically. They're not able to get the hit and really get the damage down that they wanted. Meanwhile, Golden Guardians do pop the Rift Herald top. We'll be able to get this turret pretty easily, and that is not the first turret of the game, so unfortunately, not exactly what they were looking for, but it is gold advantage. Meanwhile, Dignitas taking full advantage, and I have said advantage multiple times in the same sentence. I will intend to say it more often. We're going to be taking the Earth Mountain Dragon, so very good objective going over to them. This is their second of the game. So looking for that Dragon Soul. Mountain Dragon specifically, good to get the ones by themselves. You don't necessarily need the soul, as it only gives a small shield, but getting the stats, very, very nice, especially for Lorlo and Ole. As they build up into this game, you can already see the Knights battle completed, as well as the Leandries completed for Lorlo. So Ole, I really want to see him building harder into tank, as well as Grig, maybe building more resistances early. Maybe the Guardian Angel would be the most optimal build at this point in the game. But instead, it does seem to be going for more of a health build, maybe the Black Cleaver. All depending on what the map is, you do have to think about what your build is going to look like. And for the moment, I have to say, Grig, going for the health builds, they're great. They're definitely strong on Lee Sin, but it's not the most optimal way to make use of dragons. That said, you're relying on dragons, which inherently are unreliable. You don't necessarily know you're going to get them unless you specifically play around them. And so far, Golden Guardians Academy have made it very difficult to play around dragons unless there's an objective being taken on the other side of the map. And that's been the advantage Dignitas have been able to find in this one, trying to turn it all back around. But right now, they're still sitting at that 2,000 gold deficit. They're pushing onto the mid lane. And it's very likely that this turret is going to fall right here. Boom! That's going to be Phoenix picking up the last hit onto that. Getting a little bit control for himself. Keith just going to take a little bit of harass while Gorka walks into the lane. They are now together in the mid. I don't know if they'll be able to siege particularly well, especially without a blade college. Definitely need a Syndra in this competition just because otherwise Dignitas able to stand way behind the minion line and stay safe. Gorka is going to be looking for a lot lower range fights than you would typically expect out of this player. He does know how to get to the mid-range fights, especially on Aphelios, as well as the Senna. But staying close range, always a danger, especially if you don't have a Mega Tank to back you up. Luckily, they did draft the Taric. They do have Zion Spartan getting pretty far ahead, and maybe even getting this turret down by. And that's going to help a lot into these mid-game team fights. We have progressed it for 20 minutes. This is going to be the second tower going up to Golden Guardians Academy, the fourth total of the game. And Zion Spartan finds himself in a very comfortable lead right now. I feel like if Golden Guardians want to push his advantage, that's going to be a pretty decent path to victory. As on the other side, Dignitas Academy going to be pushing their top side. And that might just be a turn for them, as there's no response coming in from the Guardians. They're just going to keep pushing the bot side. Zion Spartan goes under turret for a second. Lorlo taking a little bit of heat himself. Does get moved up, but without a real way to hard commit onto a Mordekaiser on the turret, Golden Guardians decide to back off. Very wise decision for the moment, as DeMonte able to pick up that turret. Will get a little bit more of that gold lead back into their favor, so now only about 1,500 separates these two teams. Golden Guardians still in the driver's seat, but this is a team that doesn't scale as hard. I would say, looking at Dignitas Academy, they do have a lot of scalers. They have the Zoe, they have the Varus, they have the Mordekaiser. These units all scale very, very well, and with this champion lineup, I have to imagine that Golden Guardians Academy are looking to play the mid-game more than anything else. Yes, a Blazed Olive is going to get to late game. Zion Spartan's going to do reasonable damage late game. But it's not the hyper carry that you would expect if you're trying to stall out the game. As Hard trying to move into the river, will be able to find his Scuttle Crab. That's another one down. It's unfortunate, but the Scuttle Crab race will boost up. Hard towards the mid-side now. This is become a bit of the NA ramp, as it's been so wonderfully dubbed by the voices at home. Not going to get anything so far. Dignitas Academy are able to respond reasonably well. And they might be able to pick a few dwarves while they're at it. Umbral Blade and the lethality build of Varus. This is tough to get on, but Hard manages to stun up Greg, but the heat comes through. Keith now going to be kicked. Q does land, so the Trouble Bubble going to go wide for the moment. As the red buff goes down to Phoenix. And that's just the kind of power of disengage that Dignitas has. They're able to get away from a lot of these fights that Golden Guardians Academy have been trying to set up. Trying to get to Pope himself. Does land the CP Trouble Bubble onto a Blaze Olive. Going to be vulnerable for a moment. Oh, the Q! Piercing arrow from Phoenix. Almost enough to take out a Blaze Olive. Just barely not enough. Lorica managing to keep him safe for the moment. As Blaze Olive keeps the summoner spells, but it's very low health and will be forced to back off as Dignitas Academy. Thinking about that Baron side, the top side of the map. Dragon spawning in 30 seconds, though, means they're going to instead move to the south side. And probably get the full advantage on it. You can see where Hard's positioning is. He is currently sitting in the second tier mid-turret. Won't be able to move forward against this team. There's just no way to get onto multiple members. And if you find Ole, the only possible person to pick on this team, he's going to be safe for a very long time. A lot of magic resist and a lot of armor, so no way to get that sweet, sweet pick that Hard is looking for. Drag going to be started up. You can see how dark it is for the side of Golden Guardians Academy. This is all because of the setup Dignitas have been able to put forward. With a minute left, they did make that fight happen. They were able to get a lot of damage on this place. All of them forced the entirety of Golden Guardians Academy to back off, which means third dragon goes over to Dignitas. And this is the sort of game that we would think they would play against Golden Guardians Academy. The sort of game that they've been spending 7 weeks to perfect, trying to get all the objectives that they can. Yes, they've lost a little bit in terms of solo lanes, but they're able to make that up with a lot of team play, especially Greg stepping in, the new jungler coming in for this Academy roster, has been able to make a significant impact in terms of objectives. Again, kills could be better. Solo lanes in early game could be better, but the fact that they have a scaling composition means they don't have to play to that win condition if they don't want to. And it seems very much they do not want to play for the early game. You see Golden Guardians moving in towards the mid lane, but not committing to the turret. Because again, you have a Blazed Olive, you have Gorka, but that's a lot of low range. Yes, you have some Harass and Poke coming in from Blazed Olive. It's not going to be enough to take a turret. You need to get picks. You need to find a good rotation in order to find turrets against this Dignitas roster. Otherwise, very, very difficult to move forward in this game. Fortunately, they have drafted more early, so it's going to be tough to really push in for the mid-game. We have started up. Phoenix has completed the Edge of Night. Does have that passive available. So not going to be picked off by Elise. Not going to be picked off by a stray stun coming in from Blazed Olive. Going to be really tough to get to this hyper carry in Phoenix. However, since he has gone for the lethality build, not going to be scaling as hard. Will eventually fall off. It's just going to take a considerable amount of time. Considering there is tanks coming in from this Golden Guardians draft in Tarek and Zion Spartan's set, gonna be really tough for this Varus to eventually get the picks that he wants to eventually. But for now, very, 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 very strong. As we do see Keith moving in towards the mid lane, Gorka gonna pick up some farm for himself. himself has found himself in a bit of a deficit right now. He's about 800 gold down, which translates to about 20 CS, 10 CS, excuse me. And that's all because Phoenix has been the one picking up the kills. The team has just been feeding him as much as possible, and you can see that reflects in the gold graph on your screen right now. About 2,000 ahead of anyone in the game. Very strong stuff coming in from the side of Dignitas Academy. And as I say that, Zion Spartan has also been making a name for himself, still very far ahead of his opponent laner in Lorlo. About 3,000 gold difference at the top. That's going to be making the difference for Golden Guardians at the moment. But the question is, can he translate it? Because when we see Golden Guardians Academy succeed, it's usually through Gorica getting ahead on Aphelios or picks that he's comfortable on. And if Zion Spartan is the one with the only gold lead, it's really tough to get back into the game because Set, yes, he has damage, yes, he has tankiness. He's not a hyper carry in the traditional sense. He's going to be able to get a lot of damage onto a few targets. It's not going to be lethal damage. It's not going to be able to be followed up too easily by the side of Golden Guardians. They need to rethink their strategy. They might need to get a split push going. Maybe that's the option coming in for Golden Guardians, and that seems to be working pretty well, so they're going to stick to it. But the Baron is spawned. Both teams know this. They are trying to get the vision down, but it's really tough for Dignitas Academy to push out onto this team. They know the big potential is there. And because of that, Golden Guardians, they're actually going to start up the Dragon. Unfortunately for them, Dignitas is right there. They also know about it because they're scrying over it. See Phoenix get some poke in. DeMonte on the side, looking for a Sleepy Trouble bubble and Paddle Star combo. That's a lot of damage, and Hard immediately obliterated. Wow, Dignitas, so much damage, and Golden Guardians unable to make that play work. Just too aggressive for that Dragon Kill. Unfortunately for Golden Guardians, they find themselves in a precarious position. That Baron may have looked very ambitious, but unfortunately for Golden Guardians, that was the only play they had available to them. They had to start the Baron, otherwise they would have to fall victim to the scaling differences. They would have to fall down to Zion Spartan being unable to split push against Mordekaiser, which unfortunately, it's inevitable. It's already happening. You can see Lorlo able to push out waves with a Nashor's 2, going for a traditionally unusual build, but it has been gaining popularity over the last season. This is something started, I believe, at Worlds of this year by Fun Plus Phoenix, able to make that build work. But as I say that, the Guardians trying to make this disengage work. Bubble goes wide, to Monte, but the Paddle Stars are starting to land, and they are starting to hurt. Even Keith, one of the tanks of the team, is feeling the burn coming out of this Zoe, and DeMonte only gets stronger from here. Blaze Doll loses the Banshee's Veil for a second, and will back off. Dragon spawning in 5 seconds. Golden Guardians Academy, they're on the back foot here. Dignitas Academy, they're pushing out on this Dragon, but this is for Dragon Soul. Golden Guardians can't give this one up. See Dig clustering up, trying not to spread out the fight, trying to keep it contained. Much as possible, Zion Spartan moves in, Showstopper in, manages to land on the Lorlo, doesn't hit anyone with the damage though, unfortunately. Phase Call managing to save Keith for the moment. Zion Spartan in the middle of 3, managing to get a little bit of damage with the W, but Keith now finds himself in a bad position to Blaze off on the backside. The first casualty is Keith, and Lorlo still managing to stay alive. Monte and Phoenix still very, very healthy in this fight. Dragon is still attacking, but Dignitas Academy have all the time in the world. Will be able to get this Dragon, and Golden Guardians say it is not our time. Will back off the fight. DeMonte still trying to find Poke, getting a flash for himself as well from Zoe. W. That's going to be Dragon Soul going over to the red side. Dignitas finding the advantage, finding the objectives, and getting a Dragon Soul. While not the most powerful Dragon Soul in the world, it's still a lot of dragons. It's still a lot of damage that they can now rain onto the Golden Guardians Academy, who found themselves in the worst possible position. Yes, they're up in gold. Yes, they're up in stats. Yes, you have Zion Spartan, but is it enough to deal with Phoenix, DeMonte, and Lorlo scaling up? We're gonna have to watch to find out, but Hard, looking at that Baron again, I would have to say, don't take that Baron. Decides against it. Good call. Just getting a little bit of vision clear for the moment. Let's see how dark it is for squad of Golden Guardians Academy. Dignitas trying to push forward, trying to find some vision of their own. That river is now warded. Golden Guardians pushing up the mid side as well. So Orca has been farming up pretty well. Has managed to tie up Phoenix, but again, without the kills, it's really starting to make a huge impact in terms of items. You can see 3 completed items going over to the side of Phoenix. Also building full lethality, so going for the Duskblade finisher. Interesting stuff. I would suspect that to be the 5th item. Usually you go for a gold Guardian Angel. Maybe you finish that Executioner's Calling in Immortal Reminder. Instead deciding Duskblade's the time. I just need to be able to burst one pick down. And it's been working pretty effectively. But if it continues to work, that would be great. Lorlo now, caught out. Uses the Death Realm against Zion Spartan. We'll be able to get a little bit of damage down. Lorlo's going to come out in just a second. Showstopper down. That's 1 kill going over to the side of Golden Gardens Academy. They're going to continue to push forward, but caught out is hard. And he's going to fall to that fight. Blaze Olive trying to get away, but the deed is done. Dignitas Academy, they do manage to find 2 picks for the price of 1. Or no, it was actually a 1-for-1. Excuse me, going over, but they do lose Lorlo, something they didn't want to lose right now as Zion Spartan can continue the split push. You can see he's been bottom side this entire game, trying to draw the attention of Dignitas Academy, but not requiring it thus far. That's good on him, as we do see what he can do with that split push. He has won games off it. It's just very difficult to do against the might of Lorlo and the fact that Dignitas Academy just have a pressure advantage at the moment. Gold currently 3,000 in the lead for Golden Gardens Academy, so they still have that to look forward to. They can still try to make it work with pure stats alone, as you can see from Blazed Olive going for that death cap. Next up after the Hextech GLP. Might be able to make something happen out of it. I just fear for the future. I fear for what this could mean for Dignitas. Can they actually deal with the health bars coming out of Ole and Greg? Can Golden Guardians manage to find the picks that they're looking for? Yes, they were able to find Lorlo in the jungle just a couple minutes ago, but that's an isolated case. I don't think that's something that's going to happen terribly often from this Dignitas roster. Even if you get Lorlo, he's going to do a lot of damage, and it's going to be very, very difficult just to take him down a second time. As we do see Dignitas trying to lessen up the bot side pressure and instead go for the Baron. Definitely the right call here. You have control. You do have a Zoe and a Varus. You have the ability to really get those pick potentials whenever possible, but the gold is the only thing holding you back. However, you do have the Dragon Soul. Abyssal Voyage going to go down towards that top side. Might go for a pick onto Blaze Olive, who's forced to flash away. Managing to keep himself safe for the moment. Dignitas still in the driver's seat, still going for this Baron. Keith trying to get around the backside, get some vision for his squad. But Greg has caught him out, and Zion Spartan in the meanwhile will take down this turret. It's taken him 32 minutes, but he finally found it. Now the next goal, break open the base. Is he going to be able to do that? Hard to say. Really tough, but Zoe trying to go into Monte, landing some trouble bubble, just barely misses. Optic Radiance goes down. It's going to be hard, staying alive, just barely teleporting from Zion Spartan as well. Ole, a little bit of trouble, but manages to stay alive for the moment. The Kench is not benched yet. As we do see the forward motion coming in from Dignitas. Not able to find a pick quite yet. They did use a couple extra ultimates they weren't intending to use there. But without Dragon's Rage and without the Abyssal Voyage, it's going to be tough to really get in onto the side of Golden Gardens Academy, who have backed off for the moment. They've gotten their backs already and are already heading toward the Baron, but Dignitas might just look to start this one up. They have the vision control. They do, in fact, start it up. Phoenix will have to teleport back in. Goes back in order to pick up the Death Push. And that's going to be a lot of damage onto the Baron already, but it's so dark for Golden Gardens Academy. Zion Spartan walks fully into the team. Showstopper onto the Kench. Won't actually hit anyone with it, will instead just dissuade Dignitas from continuing the Baron, and a full retreat from both sides means there is no objective to be had quite yet. But as I talk about objectives, Elder Dragon gonna be up 1 minute. That might just be the way for Golden Gardens to get back into this game. If they can pick up that Elder Dragon, it doesn't matter what dragons that they've lost already. They might be able to get that execute damage, that sweet, sweet Dragon Head laser coming out. And that might just make the difference in these team fights where they aren't finding the picks and they aren't finding what they need to in order to push forward and find objectives in this game. Dignitas, in the meanwhile, might want it themselves because, hey, if 4 dragons is good, a 5th one is even better, especially when you get that sweet, sweet passing coming in. Greg landed the Q onto Hard, but has to back out himself. Zion Spartan on the backside forces the flash out of Greg. The triple bubble lands on a Keith. He almost dies but the Fates call keeps him safe once again. How many defensive Fates calls are going to be used this game? Monte taking a little bit of poke, hard, also almost dying. Is forced up in the repel, and he will be shut down. Phoenix picks that one up as well. Piercing arrow, getting a little bit extra poke. Zion Spartan in the middle of the fight, trying to find the face splitter, getting a little bit of damage and stun. Cosmic Radiance comes down, but Blaze Olive's taking a lot of damage on the backside. Orlo gets focused next, does get stunned up, but Gorka now in a terrible position. Can try to get auto attack, but Keith is dead. Forced the QSS, Zion Spartan forced to back out as well. Flash is down, Ultimate's down. Dignitas have taken down Golden Guardians and will now go for this Elder Dragon. It's going to be uncontested as Hard is already dead. No smite to come in from the other side. Dignitas, they've had the gold disadvantage this entire game because of Zion Spartan, but the objective advantage very much in their favor. And with this Elder Dragon, I can't help but imagine they're going to reset, they're going to look for the Baron. And for Golden Guardians Academy, they're trying their best. They're looking for these plays as much as possible and making proactive decisions. Unfortunately, they just can't find the targets they're looking for. Very safe in the back. Ole able to keep DeMonte safe as much as possible, and DeMonte has just been a terror on this map. Able to bounce back and forth across walls, make it impossible to really catch out any damage thus far while getting picks of his own. Hard in the meanwhile, he just doesn't have the tank to deal with this. Elise never going to be able to survive against this team, and unfortunately, the early game was great, not good enough to push them into the mid and late stages of this game, as we have already reached Baron point. As Dignitas have started up for the second time this game. Golden Guardians Academy, they're on the south side of the map. They don't know this is happening, but they probably heavily suspect. As this Baron is already down to 4,000 health, there's not going to be a contest coming up quite yet. Dignitas are just going to push forward onto this game. They have the Baron, they have the Elder Dragon. They are unstoppable in team fights. They are going to push down the top side with all their objectives down, and this is likely going to be a very heavy blow to the base of Golden Guardians. Golden Guardians, they're trying to back now. They did get a push up in mid. It's nice, but it's not going to be enough to stop the pressure coming in from Dignitas Academy. As we do see, damage already going down that turret, obliterated in 4 seconds. Base now wide open for Dignitas. They want to try to push on. Golden Guardians Academy, they're looking to fix themselves. Battlestar doesn't land. A Blaze Olive trying to stay safe. But you can see how far back he has to play against this team. There's no way to get poke in. And with that turret down, that's going to be Inhibitor as well, going over to Dignitas. Golden Guardians Academy, they're going to have to look for the final fight of the game. Otherwise, Dignitas, they have all the pressure, they have all the damage. Lorlo takes a little bit of poke, but because it's Mordekaiser, he is A-okay in this game. Unfortunately, though, they are unable to push in without a wave, and Dignitas now have the wave they were looking for. This might just be the final push to end the game. Golden Guardians, Corrupting Chains goes down onto Blaze Olive, forces the cleanse. Lorlo going to be taking a little bit of damage, but he is fine for the moment. That turret very, very low. Golden Guardians Academy, they lose a Nexus turret. Immediately, Dignitas just back off. They know they don't have the Elder Dragon buff coming in anymore. They don't have the automatic team fight win, but they're playing it safe. Full back up, all backs coming in from the Baron back. They're all going to get out safely. Golden Guardians Academy, they lost their base. That was just a casual push in from Dignitas. They got the objectives they wanted. They now have a gold lead at this point at 500 gold, and they have everything they need to win this game and close it out. I think Phoenix at 5 items plus boots is going to be more than strong enough to take out any threat that Golden Guardians can push forward. And Golden Guardians, their damage comes entirely from Blazed Olive, but you saw how safe he had to play versus this Dignitas squad. There's no way for him to get forward, and Gorka, he's been out of the game this entire time. He hasn't been able to get any sort of damage meaningfully onto the Dignitas roster because of all the CC that could land, of all the pick potential that could come from Phoenix. And you really have to think, Golden Guardians Academy, what options are left at this point? The base is going to be pushed in. You can't defend that turret. That turret is just gone to the wind. You can't defend against the Baron or the squad. Another few hundred gold goes over to the side of Dignitas, and Golden Guardians, they're on the last. I said last time was the last, but this time, I mean it. If this push doesn't work out, if this teleport play from Zion Spartan doesn't work out, this is it for Golden Guardians Academy. Dignitas, they do back off in the full 4-man squad. As we did see Lorlo pushing up towards the mid side. Keith taking a little bit of harass on the backside. This fight has gone to 2 fronts. Lorlo pushing in towards that front side. Will manage to take down the turret. Dignitas back off fully. That Baron, pretty darn good power play, I have to say. That was at least 5 turrets going down for the price of nothing. And that Dignitas roster, man, this draft has just been brutal for the red side. There's just nothing you can do against the pick potential, against the damage, and against the Mordekaiser that has been falling Golden Guardians. All they can do, meagerly clean up the scraps, try to keep their base as safe as possible, but it doesn't matter at this point in the game. There's just too much lost, and you have to look for these objectives. You have to make proactive plays, but how can you do that? How can you find the picks onto Phoenix and Demonte with Ole in tow? I don't know if it can be done, folks, but Golden Guardians, they still have the fight in them. They still have the ability to come back into this. The good news for them, Zion Spartan still somehow ahead of Lordlo. The pushes, the CS, very much in his favor. Unfortunately for everyone else, you can see the gold deficits. Demonte and a Blaze Olive are relatively even, but Demonte is very much ahead of the curve on this one. He doesn't necessarily need the gold, but it's nice to have. Hard also, it's an advantage, but it's an Elise. At this point in the game, Elise is not going to be your game-winning condition. You have to look out for the picks. You have to look out for the defensive items. And Elise, unfortunately, is not great at building those defensive items. Dragon enemy spawning up in 30 seconds. Dignitas already making moves, already have the vision control. You can see control ward, regular ward, blue ward, everywhere around this river. Gold Guardians don't have an opportunity to get in. Greg trying his hardest. Will look for the pick, but oh my, Keith! How are you alive? Staying up with only 200 health, forced to push forward. This is now into Dignitas territory. Dragon spawning in 5 seconds. Maybe this is the desperation play coming out of Golden Guardians. They need to do something here. They're going to push open the base. Ole's the only one to contest. The rest of Dignitas trying to push up now. Back to coming from Lorlo, but the inhibitor's already gone. Golden Guardians caught out in a very bad position. You can see the Chains of Corruption landing onto Keith. See Demonte going golden as well. Showstopper comes in, but Tarek is the first to fall. Demonte extremely low. Great. The next to follow will get the kick onto it. Gorica, but Lorlo under pressure here does get the shutdown onto a Blazed Olive. Did get the Death Realm. Lorlo in extremely bad position. Zion Spartan likely the next to fall. One more hit will do it, but instead it's Hard that falls. It's Gorica that falls. It's the team that falls. And the teleports mean this is going to be the win for Dignitas Academy. Playing through their objectives, playing through their team comp, and playing through to the end. Oh, it's an inhibitor respawn. You hate to see it. Unfortunate, as Dignitas Academy will be able to take that down. There's still way too long left on the timers, and that is it. Dignitas win. Dignitas win.